This week on Supercars Torque, Chaz gets himself in the title fight while differing pit strategies spice up the racing again. Now, before we get into the big news this week, apologies for the lateness of this video. Unfortunately, I can't say I was celebrating Oscar Piastri's first F1 win, but I did have to shut myself off for the day yesterday because I had a lovely thing called a migraine come along. So yeah, we're recording this on a Tuesday night instead, and yeah, hopefully this will be out very shortly so you can still see it on Tuesday. It's the first time I think in it'll be a few years now that I haven't had the video released on Tuesday morning though, but my apologies. Yeah, I'm all better today though, so I just needed a bit of quiet time and a good night's sleep. But how good was it to see Oscar Piastri win his first Formula One race, turn into a little bit of a damp squib there in the end with the whole Lando Norris strategy kind of thing, but he's got the monkey off his back. Hopefully he'll come out swinging in the rounds to come, and we can see two Aussies fighting at the front after the summer break. Anyway, the big news this week is that James Courtney has confirmed that next year will be his last year as a full-time driver unless Tim Blanchard offers him another contract. So nothing really confirmed there. He has become a proper real estate agent during the break. He's joined a real estate mob and things like that. Anyway, who cares? Yeah. And Lucky Dalton, yeah, I didn't cover him off last week. Yeah, wild card there. Not a bad looking car. Yeah, not perfect, but not bad looking. Fiducian Group, I had to look that up. Apparently financial services thing. I also finally looked up what AWC was. Probably should have done that earlier because it is a sponsor there on Campbell Logan's cars. Andrew Walter Constructions, looks like it is a Tasmanian-based construction company, probably why I haven't heard of them before. Yeah, so the Lucky Dalton car looked pretty good, pretty happy with that, and I'll get into that as we go through the weekend, his results over the weekend. There was a couple of other new looks over the weekend. The Walkinshaw Andretti United Mobile 50th anniversary special black liveries there. How good were they? And after what Chaz did over the weekend, I can justify buying a model car of one of those. Authentic Collectibles hasn't actually announced it yet, but I'm sure they will at least make the Chaz one, if not both of those. Erebus also had some new sponsors over the weekend. That Wake Up livery on Jack LeBrock's car. Could have told him on Sunday to wake up. Anyway, and SS signs on Kasihi's car. We've seen them pop up on quite a few cars over the years when they've had no sponsors on there. They typically do some of the sticker work on cars out there. The SS sign one's probably the best looking livery on that 99/1 car this year. The Wake Up livery, I don't know, that kind of, the grey and the black, I don't, in theory, it should work perfectly fine. It didn't quite work for me, but we don't have to stress because I'm sure they'll have new looks in Tasmania. Now, before I get into my team-by-team rundown of the weekend, how good was it to have differing strategies once again? That, I think if everyone had just gone for the standard two-stopper, this weekend's racing would have been a bit of a snooze fest, I think, but it was good to see people actually giving something a go, especially the Grove boys and Matty Payne, because he has got a lot of speed on board there and he's not afraid to give it a crack, judged by the pass of the year. That was unbelievable, that pass on Sunday. How good was that? He's just like, nah, bugger this, I'm just going to pass both of them. Yeah. Anyway, Chaz has come out since well, we shouldn't have any more sprint racing. I don't think, like, the longer races with the two stops, or, you know, the standard two-stop strategy where you can kind of get by on one, or maybe you could go to three, that has obviously spiced things up in the last couple of rounds. If we continue to do that over and over and over again, though, people will get the formula and they'll all run to the same formula. As I have kept saying, what I would like to see is two 2 on Saturday, but make that a sprint day and have 2 really short sprints, like at the AGP, like 50, maybe up to 75 Ks at the most, but really short, sharp, no pit stops, all guns blazing kind of thing. Possibly even like a staggered grid on it, so that how you finish the first one, you go into the second one. So we only have 1 qualifying session in the day. But if we, every event has to be standalone round, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'd be happy to have, 2 10-minute qualifying sessions to do the grid. And then Sunday, if we have to have a top 10 everywhere, Sunday we have, the usual qualifying session, top 10 shootout, and then a 200 to 300K race, depending on the weekend, where it's at and things like that, and have a proper kind of longer race on the Sunday. And then you don't have that same by same thing that we're having at the moment, where each day is the same. That was saved a lot this weekend, because obviously we had the night race on Saturday, and then in the twilight rate, it actually looked really cool at the end there as the sun came down and everything. But that did open it up a bit this weekend, and we probably saved a little bit in Townsville because there was the weather involved. If we'd had 2 kind of day races at Sydney Motorsport Park, I'm sure everyone would have converged to the same strategy on the Sunday. If it had, if you'd had a normal day race and the one stop had worked on the Saturday, everyone would have converged to that on the Sunday pretty much. So I would like to see more variety on the days rather than just the same kind of thing day by day, because that's where it stagnates a bit. And I'm afraid at Tasmania that is what will happen, because we will go back to that shorter single same race on each day down in Tasmania. Anyway, time to go through the team by team run. I will try and keep these ones short and sharp. I think I say that every time and it doesn't quite happen. But kicking it off, the Tickford wildcard, Lockie Dalton, car looked pretty good. As we said before, he did a reasonable job, really. He was, he split the Blanchard cars at times. He didn't get himself in trouble, didn't trash the car, didn't set the world on fire or anything, but did the job. Did a pretty good job, really, for, what was expected. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how he ran over the weekend. Can't criticise it too much. Blanchard Racing, let's start with the positives. They were pretty competitive in the free practice session, but then every session that they counted, they were in the 20s somewhere. Stepping it up to 2 cars this year, changing drivers, it's not working. Even Tim Blanchard has come out and said this week that there is something fundamentally wrong here. They parted ways with Raymond Lau, the engineer that came across from Tickford, kind of with James Courtney over the off-season. They parted ways with him before the round. That's another engineering change at this team. They've had more engineers there than cook warm dinners, it's not working swapping out engineers every 5 minutes. You need a bit of consistency in there to really see where you're going. You can nearly see them trying to swap drivers at the end of the year, and then, it's still not working. Todd Hazelwood definitely wasn't the problem there. They need to fix something. Brad Jones Racing. Frosty took Macca out on lap 1 on Saturday. Did it really matter? All 4 cars disappointing all weekend. Even the shining light of the team, Andre Heimgartner, he had a best result of 12th over the weekend. We expected more from these guys. Traditionally, they have been very good around Sydney Motorsport Park. Nick Percat, can't quite see the model there. It's not unboxed anyway. Nick Percat having a few wins there over the years. Jaime was quite competitive last year off memory, and they were just nowhere. Premier Air Racing. The 2 drivers qualified back-to-back both days, and then they both went backwards in the races both days. Overall, the weekend, probably a bit of an improvement on where they've been recently, because both cars were qualifying well, where traditionally they've probably been a bit up and down with the qualifying. When one does well, the other one doesn't, kind of thing. They're going backwards in the races, not good for them. The big question, I suppose, will they bounce back at Simmons Plains when we're back to the super soft tyre, because they were quite competitive on that tyre up in Darwin. Erebus. Brodie Kostecki has nearly caught Aaron Love in the championship. Just think about that. Jack LeBrock broke a piston on Saturday, oil all over the exhaust. That was causing lots of flames. Apparently the engine had 8,000 Ks on it. I'm struggling to remember. Can someone who knows down in the comments, is that at the breaking point with these Gen 3 engines? I thought they were doing rebuilds on them after 4K, but I could be wrong. Sunday after the engine change, just no pace at all. Brodie, on the other hand, no qualifying pace, but at least he did race into the top 10 both days. I think this weekend he scored more points than what he has at most weekends this year. It's an improvement, but this is the guy who won the championship last year, and we're getting excited now because he, raced kind of forward and got himself in the top 10 in each race. Team 18. Frosty took Macca out on lap 1 on Saturday. It's very, very unlike Frosty. That was a very strange mistake for someone with this much experience. Yeah, he was dead last on Saturday after the spending many laps in the pits to fix that damage. Sunday is just mid-pack. I don't even think the TV caught him during the race. I don't recall seeing him. Reynolds actually got himself into the top 10 shootout both days. Not bad, until he raced himself backwards in the races. He seemed to get himself involved in a few needless kind of battles, like there was the Percat Wood one at the start of race 2, which ultimately saw him get kind of taken out by Brodie, but he put himself in that position. These guys are back-to-back in the championship. It's not a driver problem, I don't think. They probably need to have a bit of a look internally, like the Blanchards should be as well, and probably a couple of other teams. And yeah, because they shouldn't be where they're at, really. Matt Stone Racing, the Percat Sunday race, he qualified 3rd on the grid. Like, it was all exciting, and then he dropped from 3rd to 9th. On lap or off the start, and then got involved needlessly in a big battle with Woody, and it just kind of wrecked the race. He moved forward from there, but it's a lot of pain with that battle. Pretty good weekend overall. Obviously, the top 10 shootout with 3rd on Sunday being the highlight. Hill, on the other hand, a bit of a middle kind of weekend from him, some middling qualifying and some middling racing. He took advantage of the one-stop strategy as well on Saturday. Not as great results as what Matty Payne did, but at least it did see him race forward. He ended up 11th in the race, starting in 19th, so not too bad. But Sunday qualified 14th, stayed 14th during the race. Nothing happened. Dick Johnson Racing. A solid weekend. They never looked like they were going to win either of the races, and they've actually come out and said that they've got the car in a safe window at the moment where they have speed out of it, but every time they try and improve it to make it a little bit better where they might look at winning a race, they dial it out of that window and the car kind of goes backwards. So that's a little bit of a worry. But what do we got? Davo won the top 10 shootout on Sunday for a guy that needs to be replaced, according to the Bookface comments. Yeah, okay, whatever. They finished 4th and 5th on Saturday, 5th and 6th on Sunday. So as a whole team, they were working pretty well. They just need, I think, if you can continually get these results and keep chipping away at it, you'll probably jag a win somewhere, but it is a bit worrying that they're actually coming out and saying, we don't know how to make this setup any faster to actually catch the front guys. Grove Racing, really a tale of two halves with these guys. On the one hand, you got Payne challenging at the front, and then you've got Richie Stanaway having a bit of a slump, really. Once again, great to see Payne trying something different with pit stop strategies. Nearly paid off. Unfortunately, Chaz was just too fast. A little bit... the qualifying pace, if Payne could step up that qualifying pace, then he wouldn't have to race to the front. You do wonder if he could get himself kind of into that top 5 with these great strategies that they're playing. You know, they could be really dangerous. This guy, though, in the years to come, especially talking about swapping out, you know, teammates here and things like that, he's going to be dangerous, if not next year, kind of the year after, once he has a bit more experience. And also there was while Percat and Wood are kind of, you know, dicking around with each other, and he just, bugger this, I'll just pass them both, whatever kind of thing. That, so far past the year, that was absolutely amazing. The little blot on the copybook, he obviously made that mistake in the top 10 shootout on Saturday, which is the first time I can remember that someone, James Courtney last year at round 1, where he stuck it in the wall and didn't make the race. That was the last time I've seen someone make a proper mistake on a top 10. There's too many top 10 shootouts. No one makes mistakes on them. You sit there and like, oh, everyone's done a perfect lap. Wow. Richie, anonymous weekend. I don't know where the guy who kind of came out all guns blazing at the start of the year, the guy who just won Bathurst and that, he's a bit of a mid-season slump. I really do hope he picks it back up, though, because, you know, all firing Richie Stanaway is really good for the championship. We need characters like him in it. Walkinshaw and Andretti United, even after the weekend that Chaz had, they still dropped to 3rd in the team's championship. Yeah, come on, Ryan, pick your game up. Chaz, just unbelievable pace all weekend. Couldn't even be troubled by the guys doing different strategies. He looked in control. Even Randall kind of taking off at the start. It was just, when's Chaz going to get him kind of thing. I suppose he qualified 2nd and 3rd in the races. That's a little bit disappointing, but just so strong. He's kind of forced his way into this championship conversation a couple of rounds ago. I was talking about, Brown's going to have this thing wrapped up by Simmons Plains. He was that far ahead. Now all of a sudden we're talking about him not only being challenged, well, he's not even being challenged by Feeney. It's by someone from a different team. Chaz, Simmons Plains coming up on the super soft tyre. Hopefully they don't have the same troubles that they had in Darwin and can actually mount a challenge, because I'm sure Chaz is going to be competitive at Sandown, Bathurst, Surfers Paradise and Adelaide to finish off the year. So I think could be a championship fight again this year. I'm getting excited. Woody, on the other hand, a bit of a rookie weekend. There's just a little bit of inconsistency there. The pace is obviously there. He very, very fast on Friday afternoon in the practice session. But getting into battles like the one with Percat just costs a lot of time there out on track. I mean, I want to see him fighting, but I also, things like that waste a lot of time out there. We want to see battles, but also when you're criticising someone, you're like, well, do you need to get yourself into these battles? Considering he's a rookie in that, though, he's doing a pretty good job for someone who, he's in what has traditionally been a pretty disappointing car. Tickford Racing, 2nd in the team's championship. Both guys are firing pretty well. I say pretty well because, you'll see. They locked out the front row on Saturday, but of course, Chaz was just too fast. You could possibly be a little bit disappointed looking at the results at the end of the race after them locking out the front row. But Cam Waters lost a lot of time in the pits with that fueling problem. And you do wonder if he didn't have those problems, would he have been the one kind of in 2nd position at the end of the race? He was 7th, not that bad, but he could have been a lot more. He never seemed to have the full pace of Chaz, but the fuel thing really caused him some problems. Sunday, one-stop strategy did net him 2nd in the race. Pretty good there. And then, of course, Thomas Randall, Saturday, came out swinging, front row start, took the lead off the start, of course, didn't have the pace of Chaz, and got eaten up by Payne at the end there, but, not too bad, got himself on the podium. Sunday, though, 18th on the grid. He did move forward. He finished 10th in the race, but yeah, it's, you know, you go from qualifying the front row to 18th. You can't have those kind of days when you're fighting for championships, but at least we've seen a big improvement, and yeah, this is what we expected of the Tickford 2-car thing after coming from the 4-car thing. Just needs a little bit more consistency there, find out, you know, what the issues are, and yeah, take away those little mistakes so we don't have these up and down days anymore. And finally, Triple Eight. Yeah, another weekend from Will Brown, I suppose, that sets up a championship fight. 6th and 3rd in the 2 races. It's a long way off what we expect from these guys, but if you're going to win a championship and you're having a bad weekend, 6th and 3rd on the weekend is not too bad there. Feeney, on the other hand, struggling once again. Yeah, Sunday, qualified in the mid-pack, got involved in the incidents on the first lap once again. He's dropped to 3rd position in the championship. Yeah, he's in Triple Eight car when the Triple Eight cars are, you know, they were so strong at the start of the year, and he's already let Chaz get in front of him in the championship. It'll be interesting to see whether they have a big turnaround in Tasmania. Last year it was Brock Feeney and Will Brown kind of show down there. Granted, they were in different teams, but Triple Eight has always been very, very strong down there. And then, you know, Sandown, Bathurst, etc., they've always been very strong as well. So they could turn it around and then dominate the second half of the season. But they really cannot keep, you know, weekends like this happening when you've got Chaz firing, and a confident Chaz will just do better and better and better. And I think I can see Feeney and even like Will Brown a little bit last year, I think started to get a little bit in his own head, and that's where he started to drift back from Chaztacular, and you can see that possibly happening again if you've got, you know, Chaz just pressure all the time. So that's my SMP review. Let me know down in the comments, what did you think of the racing over the weekend, and do you agree with Chaz, just get rid of all sprint races, or do you like the idea of having, you know, a sprint day and an endurance day, I suppose, over the weekend, so that we mix it up a bit? Or do you have an even different idea that maybe even we could do a bit of a deep dive on, yeah, what kind of formats we should have moving forward? But anyway, until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.